welcome. This is the Randy Wilson podcast. We got a great evening tonight. I mean, we from Richmond to the world tonight. You know what I'm saying? Tonight we making an effort to just put our stamp in and do what we are here to do to provide good content, good information, awareness, make sure people know who we are and where we're at and what we're doing. And I just want to start off by first saying to all of you, I appreciate you being here. Genuinely, sincerely. I mean, the organization of bringing talent like this in one place on a Friday night. I just appreciate your time. You could be a lot of places. So thank you very much for contributing to my efforts. And
thanks for having us.
Yeah, our efforts. Yeah, man. But yeah, my whole focus in starting the conversation is from Richmond to the world. Part of my inspiration for doing this podcast was looking at this time we in right now with hip hop and looking specifically at the time after Nipsey Hussle passed. And so a lot of the questions that's going to start the podcast is going to be related to, it's going to come from where my inspiration was. But, my whole goal in speaking with you, particularly as artists, and honestly speaking with all people, is to try to establish a platform where people see everybody for more than just what they appear to be. Recognizing that in this room let's just make the introduction. To the right of me, we have Noah O.
Yo, what up?
Noah, give him your information.
Yo, charged up Noah O on all social media platforms. Noah O, artist, entrepreneur, originally from the Bay Area and also Richmond, Virginia. Charged up ENT too.
Yo, if you don't know Noah O, you just haven't been paying attention. You must not watch Sway in the morning. Just recognize the artists that we have in this room. Recognize the artists here in Richmond right now who are really doing, major things. And Noah is one of those things and one of those people. And Noah, one of the things, that I remember and I recognized about you when I first met you was outside of the artistry was your philanthropy. Your willingness to give back to the community, to be hands-on in the community. And when I see you out there, I not only see you, but I see you bringing your children and being a model. That's something that, to me, is very commendable when you see artists outside of their artistry do other things for the community and showing, effort. So I just commend you for that.
Thank you.
Zenobia Bay, Z-Bay the Poet, Community 50/50, another community artist, philanthropist. Z-Bay, thank you for being in the room tonight.
No doubt. Thanks for having me.
You want to give them your information, Zenobia?
Yeah, social media, Z-Bay the Poet, Zenobia Bay on Facebook, IG. Follow me on the Community 50/50. That's the organization, nonprofit based out of Richmond, 501c3, doing a lot with youth and mentoring, community engagement, teaching people to lyrically express themselves in a positive way. And art is definitely one. So you gotta start with our youth.
Z-Bay the Poet. If you don't know, you will know tonight. And next to her in the room, we have my homeboy Cosmo Black.
Yo, formerly known. Cosmo Black. Tyrone Leake Jr. is the name, baby. Nah, thank you, bro. We go back. We're like family, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And the thing about you, sir, that I think that brings great chemistry to the conversation is that not only are you an artist on the musical scene, but you're stepping over and jumping into the comedy world. So you're just expanding on your talents, and I'm glad we can bring that diversity to the conversation.
Yeah, man. It's just all of these are just like good therapeutic things to me, and the things that what makes it therapeutic is the things that I want to like be with.
Yeah.
Make my my everything.
Yeah.
You feel me? So being able to do music, produce, and make a joke or two when I feel like it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And actually see what it's like on both sides. It's very funny about the demand of comedy too. Like
yeah.
It's so it just teaches you about the art form and the whole perspective.
Basically, you're getting all them bags.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'll get any bag I can get. You know what I'm saying? If it aligns with my morals and my qualities, I'll get any bag I can get.
I mean, I'm not surprised to see you excel in this area because, just naturally you're a funny guy. I mean, you're humorous. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, and Mike and I talked about this. Comedians can be misperceived, man. I mean, comedians can bring the information that you need to hear in a way that you need to hear it, and the humor is what really brings in the.
Exactly.
You know, it's like
more avenues I can give a message. I can give a message in a joke. I can give it in a song. Like,
yeah,
that's two separate ways of two different crowds that like receive different.
Yeah, well, I'm proud of you, bro, and the reason why I thought that you would be great for this conversation in this group particularly is because, like, my goal is to learn how we go forward and balance that hybrid between the OGs and the little ooze. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like you're 28. You know, we got some, chronologically mature adults in here, just in the upper 30s, mid 30s. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, we get there by bringing it together. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know a lot of young artists, honestly, outside of you that I have the same respect for. And not to disrespect any of them, I just don't know them as well. Like we are like family. We are a family.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the cookout and shit. Cool.
Yeah.
So no, that's real. Nah.
Much respect, yo. And to the left of me, I don't know if he needs much of an introduction or not, to be honest with you. It's Radio B.
Yeah.
It's Radio B, and, man, I remember the first time I saw I first saw Radio B perform at Versus. That was the first time. That's what put me on. And then he brought us that Soul Food, and, I sit back, as I've in the past 7 years by having a son, a lot of the things that I've learned, I've been a critic studying on the internet. I just been like, I can't get to the show, I can't get to the event, I got responsibilities. Man, I be watching every one of you guys. Like, I be on it, you know what I'm saying? And I look at I just look at radio and I'm like, man, like, you grinding, you taking that role, that leadership role on behalf of the city, not just as an artist, but as a man in a business way, and you bringing everybody together, and I'm really impressed. Just, like, I've heard a few people be like, yo, if somebody gonna run for government in hip hop in Richmond, it's gonna be radio. You know what I'm saying? And I see that and I understand that, I respect it. So I just appreciate what you're doing.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
And having me in a room, with my peers as well. My people I know, Tyrone, Cosmo, I know them since for a while now, and me and Z-Bay, we go way, way back, and then Noah's like my brother, so it's obviously
and on some joke, like on some hip hop humor, I was like, if I didn't know what I was bringing together, like, think about it, like, Academics became who he is by not thinking. Like, think about this. If somebody had some hip-hop beef in the room, and I didn't tell you who was going to be in the room, and then you just show up, like, that could be a problem. Like, I'm not trying to be that guy. Right. But, this is, I knew what it was. We all know what it is. And that's, again, just want to make sure I do that. Again, this is From Richmond to the World. This podcast will be on all platforms, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, all of them, SoundCloud. It's out there. And right now we're streaming on Instagram. On my R. Wilson podcast page. Noah O got his page up. It's charged up right now. Just speaking of that, let me jump over there on that side. Like, I got so much weight in the room, so if I bounce to the right, like, the show Z-Bay, I was with Z-Bay, like, the show that I knew it was you and Cheeks, the Analog Suspects, the Dark Room. Man. Like, let me just, so I come through, I see the show, and then I see you dip out to San Francisco. Much respect. I know you had a death in your family, so I want to just share my condolences on that. You know what I'm saying? But I saw you out there. I was like, like, that night that show was going down, there was like 3 hip hop shows going on in Richmond. Yeah. And all of them was packed. Yeah. But, in all due respect, the reason why I really appreciated going to his show and what I enjoyed the most about it and why I think it was the best one, the people in the room were the best people in Richmond. Like, if you're looking at the hip-hop culture of artists and just people, like, the room was strong, man. And, he had his merch up. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing I'm going to get into tonight with all of you, because you all do a pretty good job of pushing your material. Like, there's a lot of merch in the room, so we got to make sure that y'all understand those who are listening at right now what accessories we have for you.
Yeah.
But no, that show, man. I mean, like I said, man, my inspiration came from just sit back and being an internet nerd and like, I feel like you really grew in this last project.
Nah, thank you, bro. I actually, yeah.
You know you did.
Yeah. Personally, like, and it's, whatever you go through personally is always going to convey through the music. So, yeah, I definitely have grown, like, personally, went on a journey, you feel me? And it's lifelong, like, I'm just growing, I'm evolving. And I think, like, I'm like reaching a point where who I am as a man and what I value, I really know how to convey that through how
your music,
through my music and how I carry myself. It's just like a manhood thing. Like, it's just like you come to a point where the person you perceive yourself to be or envision yourself to be, you're able to meet that man and then give it. You know what I mean? Like give it to people in the proper way, and like that's where I'm at in my life. You know. So I feel like everything from this point on, like people can really be able to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it in your music, man. It's everybody looks for something in their music, and when I listen to your music, what I get and what I'm listening for is that it's melodic. It's a flow, and it's different, but it's what I need. Different only from the standpoint that most people now are trying to follow trends. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you sticking to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I like. Everybody's like, okay. And I mean, particularly me, because now I make a focus to try to listen as much to local music as possible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, recognizing that local music ain't local. Man, this is like the best music. We have some of the best music right here. And we was talking about that before the podcast. Like, Richmond don't get the love that it really deserves. I don't feel like we need to be associated with Virginia Beach or Northern Virginia. Like, we really got our own thing.
Yeah.
And y'all listeners need to understand, we got the governor, mayor of hip-hop in Richmond. You know what I'm saying? We got the hip-hop committee right here. You know what I'm saying? And some others. You know what I'm saying? But, check it out. Let me also make sure I give much respect to my homeboy, my cousin, family, Kaiser Soze with Too Tall Visuals. He's handling all the production. And we've been together since day one. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much it's just been a collaborative vision of pretty much trying to, come up out the basement. Basically, all you got to do is put your phone in front of you, right? You know what I'm saying? So much respect to Amazon.com. Before we get into it, for real, I want to give homage and respect to just everybody who for real has been supportive of the podcast. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate your shares. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the association and the collaboration of really trying to just move forward together. But let's get into the conversation. Let me first share with you all that the inspiration for this podcast tonight was looking at Nipsey Hussle's death. And we've seen a lot of things occur since the passing of Nipsey Hussle. And I think we've seen negative and positive things happen that both have positive and negative impacts on our community. I'm just curious to kind of get in the conversation on behalf of what have you seen, and what have you seen as a result of Nipsey Hussle's passing in our community that has surprised you, that stands out, anything?
I think it's, I don't know if we can say if we've seen any long-standing impacts that we can identify at this particular point in time. I think a lot of people, feel like there's going to be a lengthy or more impactful, change that comes with it. And I think there will be. There's definitely going to be a wave of individuals that change the way that they go about things and are a little more aware about the moves that they make as far as whatever culture or community that they're in, specifically the Black community, and I think what you're going to see is you will see some more entrepreneurship, you will see some more community activism, but I don't think you're going to see it at the level that we imagine it to be. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people are just kind of on the wave.
Yeah. It's a big wave.
Yeah, and because it takes a lot to to stand and walk in those spaces. I did the the rare form record, and in the record I set up, for the visionaries, motivated, dedicated, to put it on our backs to see our cities elevated. I know it's lonely. They ain't gonna see it how you see it. And until you see it through, ain't nobody's gonna believe it. That's real. Like it's really a lonely thing to have to. Ironically, it's a lonely thing to do things that are bigger than you, that involve more people than just you. Like if you're doing something for a community, or you're doing something for your city, or it's a very lonely thing when you have a vision and you're trying to carry that vision through, and the people around you don't necessarily see it. Yeah. So it's like everybody can say, "Oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that," but you gotta really be dedicated to it.
Yeah. I think like the biggest thing, like the impact of him passing it just shows like, we're in like a wave culture, like you said, it's a big wave. People like hop from cause to cause,
right?
Whatever the flavor of the moment, whatever it is. So like, I think his is like, him passing, it happens to happen in this time period, but like, it's really like the impact it's having is like a testament to like, your life is really how you impact others. So like for his life to be celebrated in such a way, especially in Southern California and the West Coast, but really nationwide, that shows you like the impact and his interactions with people were genuine.
Right.
Every interaction was genuine. He wasn't, doing it because he was the biggest rapper and he's politicking. It's just who he was. Right. It's a testament to his character. So it's like, especially I know for like all of us in this room, like, that's just how we move anyway. Right. So it's like whether people is cool for the moment, that's not something you can sustain by putting on an act.
Right.
Or you know what I mean? If it's not
via emotion. Yeah. Like an emotion can carry you through this process. So a lot of people are right. It gets you like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then once you get your feet
your character is what's got to carry you.
Yeah, you gotta be solid. Like an emotion doesn't make you solid. You have to really, get the understanding and have that solidified in order to become solid. Like an emotion is just fleeting. You know what I'm saying? So I think what I do think is beautiful though is the waves that he has created in general, just the awareness and like, just like Noah said, everything that he stood for, it seems to be what's glorified and what is actually highlighted in his legacy, and that's the beautiful thing. It's very rare that anybody passes and the things that you talk about are bigger than what you knew them for. Like you didn't know, like people knew him for music, but they're more like focused on his ethics and like people passing around what kind of books he read. Those things, like that's amazing. How he ate, that's amazing. Like and I think it's one of the most impactful passings that we've seen in the internet era, and because it's the internet era, it's moving around.
I think it's like I heard, like I had a friend, somebody I know, and she was saying how like she's like, well, like the fake people, they already dropping off with the fake love, and then she was like, she's like had some people like kind of her like they just became aware of him because of what's been going on. Like I tried to get into his music, it didn't resonate with me, but I was like, that's cool. That shows like he was on something that I know we're on in this room. Right. So it's like, I hope that encourages cats like us and strengthens us even more. Like, nah, I'm on the right path. And it really isn't about, we might not always see the rewards immediately or even in this lifetime. I try to remind cats like that. I'll be like, bro, all these artists and great people, a lot of these people that we look at and they got statues of or famous artists, they won't even appreciate it while they were alive.
That's true.
Like people like Picasso was cutting off their ears because they're like, man, nobody rocks with what I'm doing. You know what I mean? You feeling like you're crazy for like sticking to your guns and having a certain code of ethics, but you're not crazy. And I really hope, like, I know for me, like it's encouraging. Like, nah, it's what's right. You know what I mean? Like, it really shows.
I think too, you got different. You have people that are doing things like that we do, whether it be in a community or whether it be for, the hip hop culture or your city or whatever it is, and you're grinding so hard and you're pushing so hard, and for some people they're doing it for themselves, but they're including other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're making it seem like they're doing it for like a bigger purpose, but they're doing it for themselves. And they got more discouraged by seeing what happened with Nip, because it was more like, oh, I could do all of this and be still trying to be good to people and then still try to do this for people, and this will happen to me. Or, like, you know, you never get the love and da-da-da while you're here.
You know what?
You know what I'm saying?
The thing is, I'll be honest, that was my thought. Like, I think that's what made me so sad. I was really hurt by the shit. And I was like, I wasn't the big, but I looked at it and this is being a self-reflective person. Like, I was looking at it, I was like, damn, like, I tweeted, I was like, this is like one of the first times I realized about something I didn't realize that I had until I lost it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm sitting there like, damn, like, I look at it like, I want to do so much good. Like, when I do get the time where I'm exposed and I can put my hand and actually have a, you know, I can do things right now, but have a big, like, impact. I can do all of this and be great and give out good energy and give love out and damn, still go out in a fucked up way. Can you cuss on this? I'm sorry.
You good.
But it's like that really put that in perspective of, like, how cruel life can be. Life is beautiful. I understand life is beautiful, but it's like, don't forget, like, that as well. And that also, it's like, damn, I just, as I'm looking at every video, every interview, I'm listening to all the songs, and, like, my homie from across the hallway, that's his biggest fan. Like, and I remember I ran and knocked on his door, and I'm in the hallway like, yo, like, what's going on? And I'm thinking to myself, like, why are you tripping? Like, you don't even know this dude. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like they took someone, or they or he, whatever, took someone that had, like, a spirit that not only related to the people he had direct contact with, but it would really, like, it really spread to people, because random people was just super sad.
So check it out. I feel like that helps segue this. So, you know, and that's part of where radio says something and you said something I feel like can come together here. Radio said this is probably the biggest death in hip hop era in the internet era. And so, you know, I guess Nipsey in hip hop culture is the biggest artist that's probably passed since Tupac, as far as rapper at least. I guess.
But that's what makes it so wild, because he wasn't. Yeah, that's what makes it so wild, because he wasn't the biggest artist.
Right.
No, he wasn't.
But it's just this, we haven't seen this type of impact.
Yeah.
There was people that's bigger than him that have
because of what he stood for.
Right.
Yeah.
Solely because of how he lived his life.
I guess
that is something that is really unparalleled, because you have people that that have said that his death was more impactful than Pac's, and
he got the
people like, and now people will be like, yo, that's blasphemy.
Yeah,
like, yo, that's blasphemy. But the reason why it's not blasphemy, and I'm not saying that it is true, I'm just saying the reason why a person may say that is because you're seeing a person that's passed and the impact be purely based on their character.
Yeah.
Not really the music. This was literally his first official
major
album.
Yeah.
Everything else was like
mixtapes.
Let me ask you, Brady. Okay, so I agree with what you said, and I believe that is part of it. But do you not think that part of it, on behalf to the credit of the internet era?
Oh yeah,
he's also famous just because he's YouTube famous. I mean, he's like Lauren London, but he's in Hollywood. Like,
almost
he was just on the cusp of being known
for his
on
music,
a mainstream level. You know what I mean? Like, he just did the joint with GQ. He just was about to, like, put out his endorsement stuff. He just got with Rock Nation, so he was just getting touching it
and making that. When you making that comparison, help me. I'm just trying to understand what you all are saying is the distinction between his death and Pac's death. How is that different?
Because Pac and Biggie were already commercially successful. You know what I mean? Pac dropped it. You know, Pac was in movies, dropped platinum albums. Like, he put out one album.
He was the biggest artist of that generation when he passed. You know, so it's like, where you got somebody like Nipsey who gets nominated for a Grammy and it was like a surprise.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like this is a person that is literally like an underground king.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's been on the underground for like the last 10 years, since 2009. He came in when Drake came in, Cole came in, Wale, and all of them surpassed him. Yeah. All of them on a musical success level. They all surpassed him. He didn't even have like hit records on the radio. He wasn't even being played on the radio for the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I think
he didn't get that. He wasn't commercially
passing to fill up the Staples Center.
Yeah, that's
coming
crazy.
on the heels of that.
The last person was Michael Jackson, or
and like Prince. I mean, like to fill up a stadium, like Crazy.
But that's another thing too, though. Like, you know, like you said, I was just out west. Like, it's different out there. You know what I mean? You could have somebody who people out here don't even like listen to at all, and out there they're
huge.
They're huge. You
But
feel me? Like they got money, businesses, but they're just not.
That's how Atlanta is too.
Yeah, it's a different mindset. It's a different business model that cats like move off of. But we can talk about.
But the reason why I put the question out there to show the distinction between Pac's death and Nip's death, because the difference between Pac's death and this time is time. You know, like, you know, we was real young when Pac died, Big died. So I asked that because do we just see it differently? Did our parents see it like we see Nip's death?
Oh, no. Don't get me twisted. I'm not saying that Nip's death is bigger. I'm saying Pac's death was probably still more impactful. I'm just saying the reason why somebody may be even able to say that is because of these things. Yes. I personally don't feel as though it was more impactful. I feel like Pac and Big passing are still the most monumental passings hip hop has ever experienced, and they're still two of the most, if not the most tragic. But I do think his is definitely up there, and of course the internet is super amplifies that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so many factors
that.
Because when Pac and Biggie passed, we couldn't go watch footage of it.
Right.
Like this is crazy. Like even like it's just crazy on a lot of different levels. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
That's what makes
even the age gap, because you look at when Pac got when he was 24.
Yeah.
And, you know, when Nipsey was 33.
25.
So you look at that time that I think Nipsey had, you know, with grinding in the streets and getting more connected with the people. Yeah. Not saying that Pac and Biggie was connected, but, you know, their connection with the people when they was coming up through their hoods, then they, you know, took off and went, you know, mainstream and, you know, their connection, it probably wasn't being seen because, again, the time, you know, internet. So, you know, he ain't on, you know, Instagram or Facebook or Snap, whatever, posting what he's doing in the hood. But I'm sure Pac and Biggie was just as grassroots, you know, as Nipsey, you know, doing things. But like I said, I think it's just with the times. And then I think like for this generation, like the younger generation, I think it really made them stop and pause and get into reality. You know, no knock to the younger generation, but you know, a lot of the way they think, you know, and
he consequences because like he really did do things. Like the things he was executing on were like you know, revolutionary. Like
they were beyond anything.
And for him to not already have commercial success, but to take whatever success he had and keep going and using that
the STEM center and all of that.
Right, he bought him and his brothers owned that little strip mall. You feel me? Like where they used to be at, like. That's incredible. Yeah. But that's what made his story greater. Right.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't just the music. It was everything he was doing outside of the music. Right. You know?
Yeah, and I was saying, like, it's I just thought it was just, like, amazing. Like, this dude, like, built a computer at 12.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, wait a minute. Pause.
That's how you did. That's when all that, the Nipsey of your whatever was like out the window. Because it's like, nah, this was a special dude.
He was something different.
Like, he was a different dude. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He won $1 million at 15 in the backyard. Him and Black Son. They say he buried that at 15. I'm thinking like, first I was like, dang, y'all buried 250. I was like, hold on, wait, they were 15. Like, you were 15 and he was how old? Like,
that's crazy.
They were like, this is somebody. I looked at him at the brunch and I was like, this dude about to be the next Jay-Z.
That's what I'm about to say. Like, that's who he patterned himself.
That's why I'm sitting here like
he was hanging out with Gary Vee on a regular basis, and Gary Vee was just respecting his prowess and like how he thought and how, you know what I'm saying, and how he moved from a business standpoint.
Now, like somebody like him, like especially like where, and these are the type of conversations like I always like respected what he was on. From one, like being from the West Coast, and I know like. He looked at like, and these are the people I look at, like the Master P's, the E40s, the Jay-Z's. Like these are people, they didn't get opportunities. You feel me? Like A&Rs weren't trying to sign them. So like that's the American dream. You pull yourself up, utilize what you have, and just get it, and then create your own leverage. Like he did that. You know what I mean? Like he didn't wait. He didn't get dropped from his deal, and then you like, you know. You hear he's locked up for some dumb shit.
Right.
Like he just went and got it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's especially in a time like this where like you can't rely on just being an artist. You got to create multiple revenue streams, whether it's like real estate, you know, just different things he was doing, clothing. Like you got to do that. And it's like he knew the blueprint to succeed in this time period. He was right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he was just
he was
at the cusp
ahead.
of
Like he really, you know, just the terms that he would use, the business terms, and you know, in his regular conversation that he would just blurt out. You know what I'm saying? Like he just had a whole lot of game, like just a whole lot of game, and you could just tell he was so well read. He was just a special individual, bro. Like, but
man, that's something like that's the only thing. Like, I don't want to see none of these memes, like, bro. Like, you can't fake that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you got if you're not in the lab, if you're not really about like what he was about, don't even play yourself.
Trying to compare,
you know what I mean? And I'm the next Nipsey. Like, nah, bro, be the first you. Because you're the type of person that would be like, nah, bro, be you. You know what I mean? Like, every cat that rock like that, they don't want to hear that. It's like, be you. Do you. Really learn and study and
to speak to your statement about the generation and them, how they process it. Because my thing is, I think that for them, for a lot of them, it showed consequence. Mm-hmm. So like even when Big and Pac passed, hip hop was wild. It was like the Wild West. Like things were just like the violence and within the industry was just crazy. Like you couldn't have an award show without people getting robbed and shootings and fights just happening, and people was really beefing. Like rappers were robbing rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like it was really the Wild West. And then when Big and Pac passed, a lot of that stopped because we realized at that moment there were real life consequences that you can not only just lose the bodyguard or the dude from the block, you could lose the biggest person in the world to us. And we lost both of them. And it was like, oh, nah, we got to chill. So you didn't even have, like, rap beefs for, like, till Jay and Nas. Jay and Nas was so impactful because nobody was beefing until then. And then it was like Jay just set it on Nas. You know what I'm saying?
Even that was different.
It was crazy. But you knew it was rap. It wasn't going to go nowhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or they were like trying their hardest not
to. Because Hov was mad after it.
I'm going to say, that's just I don't know. That's just kind of personal.
But it was personal. You know what I'm saying? But they never took it no further. You know what I'm saying? So
they're trying to get money.
But this generation never had to experience that. So, like, they got more reckless and they with the trolling and the internet and their level of consequence is so low because they have the internet where they all can say what they want to say and they don't have to face it. So they already they even have less consequences than we had back then because they can say, but they can hide behind a computer. But now it's like, wow,
I think
you
like
seen
with
somebody
that,
really.
With him,
6ix9ine,
it's like whoa,
like,
that's like been and like Mac Miller. If you look at these, are all different circumstances. From Mac Miller, from like drugs to a cat getting robbed and killed to a cat trolling and ended up in prison. You know what I'm saying? It's like you seeing the full range of
the
like
consequences.
So that really segues a great point. I think the media has been very good. I've been very surprised. Because the media has really spoke to the positives on behalf of Nipsey Hussle's life.
I think we've been checking them though.
Yeah, but they ain't had no choice.
I think a lot of people do because he was from LA and he was so like them people from the TMZ to Autumn had a healthy respect for him and they knew what he was about. It wasn't like he's out in New Orleans or Atlanta and they could just joke about it and it don't be no consequences.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he was really from LA.
I think
and they would bump into him. You know what I mean?
That brings great perspective though, because honestly, like I thought about the conversation before we had it. These are things going through my mind. I'm like, I'm questioning right now, and I just want you to put this in parentheses in the back of your brain. Hip hop keep you accountable. Just think that, all right? So I'm thinking to myself, like, the media has been very good. And we always are going to support our own.
Right.
In our culture of hip hop, we free anybody. We free criminals. That's my friend. That's my cousin. That's my homie. Whatever. He killed 7 people. Yo, free him is on my shirt. Now that's within our culture, and I'm surprised that we haven't really heard the negative. I mean, the media hasn't really talked about the fact that he was a gang affiliated person. That ain't the discussion. I'm happy.
Early, they was trying to do that.
Yeah, but that's why I said they ain't no choice.
They were getting checked though, left and right.
The
they was getting checked. The internet.
Yeah.
They were getting checked.
I would have felt that too, though. I was
A few of them tried it. They tried it, and it was like, as soon as you pop that up on the internet,
People
was
check.
like, boom, 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 like they would get eat up. They would get ate up.
But I think that goes to show the power of the people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? The power of the people. You know what I'm saying? So like when the people speak, it don't matter how many outlets. I ain't trying to jump off, but I'm not going to. But R. Kelly, people been saying whatever about R. Kelly forever. But when the people rose together and started speaking, that's when record labels, CNN, everybody coming to the table like, oh nah, we gonna, because the people spoke.
So you know the thing too. When he was alive too, he articulated. For the first time, I believe, I've never seen somebody from LA, from gang culture, articulate like so well the difference between like somebody who is like actively gang banging and somebody being from a certain neighborhood. And at one time, like he said it, I've seen different interviews. He would say it like, "Yo, I'm gonna always be from there." And in LA, especially, like somebody could say like, "Where you from?"
Right.
That doesn't mean like what area. It's like, nah, what you represent.
Right.
You can be from. He's from South Central, but he's from Rolling 60s. You feel me? Like he was always, and he would say, like, I'm always gonna be from there. I ain't gangbang. I think because he articulated that point too, is like, I don't think nobody else did that. They're just like, yo, I'm a blood, I'm a crip.
Keep it real. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I think also the depth of what he was involved in, as far as his endeavors, it was so deep. Like from the STEM Center and all of that, it was like once they got past the surface and read his story, it was like we would look bad trying to paint him in a negative light. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost too obvious what he was doing to like, and then look at his friends, you know, the Gary V's, they're not gonna play this game. You know what I'm saying? And also look,
like bro, like think about
social media has now overcome the media. Social media is bigger than the media. I was saying that too the other day. Like I tweeted that. I said, you know, with everything, all the craziness that comes along with social media, all the negativity, it's really going to improve people's lives so much more than any other thing has previously. And the reason why is because not only does everybody have their own platform, but because everybody has their own platform, you're exposed to so many different things, viewpoints than just the television. You got to think there was a time where the only thing you saw or knew outside of your environment was what the TV showed you.
Nah, like you said, they're not going to be able to control the narrative anymore, right? Or spin it a certain way.
We have our own narrative now. I mean, everybody's the
put a phone in front of you and tell your own story.
Right.
You know?
And even if you've been thinking of one way for a long time, if somebody say something, and it don't even have to be somebody famous, but you're like, you know, I never thought about it like that. Until that person said it. You know what I'm saying? You have a different view, you know, of it. It's a major machine that I think that, you know, social media, we just don't realize how much power we have in us as people.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
And then, like you said, the CNNs or the big, you know, media outlets get onto it, and they see what the masses are saying. Like you said, it's hard for them to go against it.
Yeah, because people don't even got cable.
Like you look crazy. Like
so who turning on the TV for the news? You go to Twitter for the news. If I want to know if somebody passed, I'm gonna go to Twitter. I'm not.
I was just telling somebody that I find out about mad stuff from Twitter and then go look it up on the news
to get the details.
On the news,
right? To get the details, right?
But it's too late then. Right? It's already the full story.
Let me ask you guys a question. So, does hip hop glorify crime, violence?
Yeah. We just watching camera videos.
Oh my God!
But I mean, let's.
He took the baby
by the ankle.
He took.
I think it depends. I think on sometimes like it reflects the state of what's going on, but then some artists like they amplify.
Yeah, I think it's right.
You know what I mean? One aspect
right.
to reflect.
Let me be clear, because I don't like to do this with hip hop. I don't like when people play this game, so I definitely don't want us to do it. We can't blanket it and say, does hip hop do it? Are there hip hop artists that do that?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
But I don't want to put all the responsibility on the artists. I mean, I'm saying
it's on the artists.
Yeah.
But they can't represent the whole culture. Because I think when we say hip hop, we talk about the whole culture.
I'm hip hop, and I don't do that.
Yeah.
He's hip hop, and he don't do that. She's hip hop. We all hip hop in this room, and none of us do that. So out of 4 hip hop artists in one room, none of us do that. So you can't say, does hip hop do that? No.
Well, no. Like when let me go back.
I'm not saying that hip hop artists do it, but hip hop artists feed the culture. of hip hop. Hip hop is bigger than the artist.
Right.
It's bigger than the music.
It happens.
And what I'm saying is that what they're fed now, what they're fed is partly what they're gonna give. I mean, we are the most violent culture.
But I feel like it's the same thing. I mean, it's in hip hop, but it's also like in rock and roll. Like you got rock and roll, like good rock and roll songs. You got punk rock where motherfuckers is people is punching people, and like I've been to those parties.
And the things they saying in that music is
like
hideous.
Even country songs have songs that are like about love, and there's some about shooting somebody with a shotgun. Like so, every genre has like a little bit of I think a darker vibe.
It's just that we from a more violent environment. Like we come from a more violent past, or we were, violence was projected upon us our entire time being in this country. So there's a reason for that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Poverty creates violence.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We've lived in poverty, so it's like these are byproducts of where we come from, and that comes out in the music, and that comes out in our. That's just the environment. You know what I'm saying? So even now, even with some of the artists that do it, that's the life. They really live in this life.
Yeah. Like when you were saying, does hip hop say what free criminal? What you were saying?
I mean, well,
make excuses. What were you saying?
Well, my whole focus is that we got to stay accountable regardless. Sure. In some music and some forms of art keep you more accountable than others. You know what I'm saying?
I would say this to go back to that point. Like, I don't think that's hip hop. I think that's like what people do. Like people, but people have people in their family they know do certain things wrong, and what are they gonna say? Oh man, freedom. So that's like it's not hip hop. It's just what people do. Mm-hmm. Any culture, like whether it's like any people. Like they're gonna try to get other people out of jail.
Mm-hmm. We may say it. But there may be like a rich white dude that actually pays to get that person out of jail or out of trouble.
Yeah, but they're not making a song about it.
They're not going to wear a t-shirt.
Like, no,
they're not going to really pull the strings and get him out.
It's a secret though. Like, we're not going to talk about the fact that he was in jail. We're just loud. You know what I mean?
Yo, that's good stuff though.
Yeah, that's the truth.
This is who has to do. We have to do one or the other.
Yeah.
So, all right, so that's a good point. So you take the culture of hip hop, and what if they did have the means to get their people out versus just saying free, whatever. What if I had the means? So now you go back to the same people that's yelling free, but you don't even go down to the jail and put money on their books.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm just being real, and this is real life stuff that I've have lived.
Like, get them out.
Exactly. People I know that went to jail, and the same boys on the internet saying, "Oh, my homie" or whatever, or don't say nothing. But I'm going to the jails and putting on the books. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't yelling free. I'm just doing the act, like you said.
Yeah, I feel like that
needs to be done.
You just dropping bars.
This is a bar. I got bars for that. I can't remember how I start though. I said, yeah, that's on Sweet Repentance. Yeah, man, we talk about that.
It's real. So it's like you just go back to like I said, the culture. It sounds good. I got to put on this front that I'm doing this for a man or whatever. But your girl over there struggling with the rent, and you still in the corner with the fresh sneaks on. You know what I'm saying?
Part of it too is though. Like I think, like especially among minorities, is like people know that the same crimes the punishments don't always get given out equally. Mm-hmm. So people, of course, are gonna be like, "Nah, freedom."
Right.
You know what I mean? So like,
we feel like the system.
It's like it's still a win.
Anyway.
You know what I mean? We got like, bro, like my mom was so crazy. Like my mom was born and raised in San Francisco, and that's where I was born and raised before I moved here. She went to school and grew up with O.J. Simpson. And I remember like we was living in Richmond and like they announced it on the radio. My mom broke down crying and like stopped the car because she was so happy. Like she knew this man as like a teenage friend, like childhood friend. But it's like, even I was a kid, I was like, bro, we all know he did this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but she's like, no, he needs to, she was happy. She was like crying because she's like, and he don't need to be in jail.
But it was just one of those situations where, for us, we're just constantly counted out.
Yeah. But, I think.
So it's like, even if you know the person, it just depends. Now, if he was a child molester or some other kind of crime, it's just one of them things, man. It's like,
I don't think the media, I think part of it is this. We get miscredited or discredited or credited wrong because media gives us the attention. I mean, the same issues could be happening in a lot of different environments, but it may not come to the surface. We're going to hear about any hip hop show that has a fight or a shooting. We're going to hear about it in the news. If there's a folk festival, bluegrass, whatever the situation going on, you might not hear about it.
We talk about the media. There was a little paper out in Fresno when they reported on Nipsey Hussle passing. They were like, rapper Nipsey Hussle passes. He once had a concert where somebody was shot at. That's how.
That's fair.
Like that was the headline. Like. So that's what I'm saying. Some people tried it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It gets such a big thing because like hip hop, traditionally hip hop, like whether it affects the white community a whole generation later, like hip hop is the voice, is what's going on in America.
Yeah.
Whether it's like if a certain drug rappers is rapping about, in a little while everybody's gonna be doing it. Yeah. You know, it's like whatever's going on in hip hop culture does eventually influence mainstream America.
Did hip hop help Trump get president?
Hell no.
Nah, that's a whole.
It's a whole other show.
Just making sure.
Still trying to think about it. It's almost over. We still talking about it.
That's why hip hop needs its own government, yo. Yo, check it out. If you're tuning in right now on Instagram or on anybody's page, this is the Randy Wilson Podcast. We got Z-Bay the Poet. My bad. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir. The name. He just wants to get the government name.
The government. Hey, it's on my social security and everything. Tyrone Leake Jr. They be sectioning on any site. Don't put no comment. Don't put no period.
That's what it is. Yo, we got Radio B. And we got Noah O. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I want to transition the conversation a little bit to kind of move into the second half of the conversation. I'm a big Jay-Z fan, huge Jay-Z fan, like crazy Jay-Z fan. I like Jay-Z. I recognize a lot of people, may not like him as much, for whatever reasons. I think that Jay-Z has been a model for our culture in a lot of different ways, but there's always going to be those people who's going to have their opinions. But, I've looked at some of the things that I've seen Jay-Z do in the past few years as he's evolving as a man and as hip-hop's evolving and as the world's evolving. And I've seen him put his money in places where I just want to ask you all the question. Is Jay-Z doing God's work? And I say that because I feel like I'm seeing Jay-Z do things that if I had a lot of money and I could just do it, I just do it. Let me just... I feel like he's blessing people away, but people want to associate with Illuminati.
Let me tell you the craziest thing about that. Is you said the last few years, Jay-Z's been doing these types of things for a very, very long time, bro. Like, Jay-Z has had a scholarship company that his mom's run since, like, the early 2000s for black kids. Like, every year they have a group of black kids that get scholarships from Jay-Z. Jay-Z did the water campaign in Africa. This was like in 2005 or something like that. Him and the Smiths been investing in different things on the low. Carol's daughter makeup brand. They put Fela. They sponsored Fela being on Broadway. Like nobody even knows these things. Like, but these are like very black things, like very conscious things.
That's what I was gonna say. Like people like to give Jay-Z a hard time and throw that Illuminati thing around. I think that's like it's some BS, especially in the internet age. Like for anything that seems unattainable or impossible, you just slap that on it, and then black can explain it.
If you're a minority, or especially if you're black, if you're super successful, then there has to be some foul play involved. And that's the most self-hate thing I ever seen.
People don't like to say, like, I look, like, to me, and, like, how I was raised, like, my father always told me, like, yo, my father is very, like, an activist type person, but he also, we're in America, he's a capitalist. He taught me, get my money. And purposely, you need to get your money because, especially if you're a good person and you have good things you're trying to do in the community, people are gonna exploit you at every chance they get, especially as an artist. So it's nothing cool about, especially as an artist, I see artists get frustrated because they're not in control of financially of what they're trying to do. They feel like it's something that they have to get with somebody who can put them on to achieve. And to me, like Jay-Z represents like the most conscious thing you could do is put yourself in a position so you can take care of your people and then keep growing that so you can take care of others. You can't change things from the outside looking in. You need money.
Let me tell you, the craziest thing is a lot of people would have martyred Jay-Z very similar to the way that we will martyr Nipsey Hussle if Jay-Z had passed. You got to think, like, if you look at old Jay-Z interviews, like, I'm talking, like, just getting reasonable doubt. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about black enterprise, black independence, and the fact that these people are controlling our culture, and we need to take it back.
Reasonable doubt. He was like, oh, you got it, sports and entertainment. He's always been saying, like, until we even. He said it in, like, to the Izzo. Like, pay us like you owe us for what you did to the culture. Like, when I heard that line, I was like, bruh, he's like, nah, I'm not going to let you do that to me. Then I'm going to hate the music. I'm going to hate the culture that I come from because y'all exploited me and I allowed it to happen. Like, nah. You can't play no, man. I just look at like, man,
it's
you know, hip hop, like, and just to survive out here, you got to be like a warrior. And in the business, you got to win. You know what I mean? Especially if you coming from a right place and you want to help others.
And every time that he would go and break new ground, he would always say this. It was for the culture. It was for hip hop. Like, you know, when he did that rock festival out in Europe. And
like Glastonbury,
and the dude was like,
they ain't want him there. Why is he here? Beatles did this. Well, he shouldn't be here.
Right. And you know what I'm saying? Like, he's always been on that wave, and people just never really gave him credit for it because he was a very commercially successful rapper, and he did talk flashy. You know what I'm saying? But they just wasn't listening to the deeper, like, it was always in the music.
Man, that's always going to be a part of hip-hop. From the earliest times, like, people can say, like, oh, bling, bling, and ice and all this. Like, man, you go look at every rapper, it comes from, like, you growing up in the city, you looking up to dope boys. Like, you always want to have a nice car. Right. You always want to, you know what I mean, have a big chain. Like, that's been something that goes hand in hand with hip-hop.
Right.
Looking good. And I think that's just something that's, like, inside folks. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, that's not, I don't know. I don't see no conflict with you know what I mean? We're only here for a little bit of time, man. You know what I mean? I need future conflict. You want to shine, man. You don't put that before people. You know what I mean?
But I think that's when it becomes different. You know what I'm saying? When people, like you said, we come from a culture of greatness. I mean, you look at, go back to Egyptian time and Kemet, you know, we had gold and all that stuff. And, you know, we could pick up, you know what I'm saying? So that was nothing. So, like you said, it's nothing in our origin to not want it. But what are you doing to get it? Are you doing some sucker stuff? Are you know what I'm saying, not helping the other person, exploiting people? Are you, you know, when I say selling out, meaning not staying true to what you got in your heart, you know, following the trend. And I think nowadays that's becoming so obvious, was the point I was like, oh man, you're just doing that because da-da-da.
And see, that's the term you don't hear is sellout. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? You don't even hear that. And like you said, it's selling out is like going against like your values or exploiting your people. You know what I mean? To just so you could get yours and you're fine. Like, nah, it's like certain things, man. Like, I think people who have this understanding or have these morals and beliefs, you have to speak on it and reinforce it so that the next generation knows, like, nah, you don't do that just so you can shine. It don't last. Look at every example we're seeing. Like, we're seeing kids who, like, was on top of the world 6 months ago and now, like,
gone.
But I think it goes back to, I mean, not trying to, you know, brand myself, but it's real. Like, the awakening. I've been promoting that for, like, the past 2 years, and that's just not a brand. I had to awaken myself. How can I, you know, give to the community, I'm not, nobody's perfect, but if I'm not addressing my own ish, you know what I'm saying, my own values and morals, how do I know what to stand on to be, you know, that consistency?
That brings me to this. So, like, with Nipsey, to go full circle, I seen, like, a video, and it was talking about how Nipsey was talking about how he had to learn to trust his instincts more, and he, you know, I can't always wait until I get confirmation for things. I have to learn, you know, trust my gut. And people were like reposting that. And but they missed one of the things that he said towards the end of it was, you know, because I have to remember that I resonate from a higher understanding. You know what I'm saying? And I'm I'm in a spiritual realm. My spiritual, like his spirituality, and not only just his spirituality, but when you train yourself and discipline yourself to understand and learn and have knowledge of self and knowledge of the world, then you're able and you learn logic over feelings and the logic over emotion. You can trust your gut because you've now trained yourself to know the right things, to have the right instincts. Instincts aren't just right because you have them. I tell people that all the time. Like, so you got a bunch of people now like, I'm gonna just start trusting my gut, especially, you know, our ladies, you know what I'm saying? Because
but everything is
you know what I'm saying? Like you said, like they want to run with their gut. They want to run with their emotions easily anyway. Like, oh, any excuse, because that's just natural. But the truth is, your emotions are not, just because you feel it, don't make it right. Your feelings come from how you think. So if you already...
let me find that radio's a licensed professional.
I say this all the time. People get too caught up in how they feel. Like, how you feel is not valuable. How you feel is only valuable if your mind is right and your perspective is right. If you are from the right perspective and you already like, okay, process what this information is, now I feel this way about it. If you were right in thought, you will be right in your feelings.
He's giving bars right now.
That's it. I mean, that's real because like even in the bar,
what you putting in, what you taking in.
Right.
You can trust your instinct, but if all you surround yourself with is nonsense and you're not like,
then
what are you basing it off of? It's gonna be off. You know what I mean? You're not basing
that's
on
like
solid.
Like anything. Like if just to make it simple, math. If you say, this makes me mad. Like, this is something like, okay, if somebody walks in the room and says, yo, hey, how you doing? But you trained yourself to say the word hey is rude. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, the word hey is rude. Hey is for horses. You know what I'm saying? And you have that negative vibe, and then somebody walks in the room and they say, hey, how you doing? And their mindset is, you know, they're greeting you. You know what I'm saying? But you have trained your mind to be like, I don't like this person.
because they said hey.
Because they said hey, and that's in your feelings. Like, you're in your feelings now. And you're going to tell somebody, but that's how I felt, though. But that's all based off of incorrect logic or incorrect understanding. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I got a bar in heaven on earth. I got, in the open up, I said, I got one objective, change my perspective. Right into this beat, I get the vivid message. Some don't want to change. Some don't want to grow. I got to look up for meat, so here I go. Now, where that came was from, like, I grew up in the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in Islam, so my views were what they were. But I had to realize it's a whole nother world. And because I didn't grow up using the N-word, that don't mean because you come in and be like, yo, what's up? I gotta hate you. No, man, I can't talk to you. No, what I gotta do is say, yo, I don't use that word. Can you just not refer to me? But I had to realize a culture of people that I grew up with, that's what they grew up with. That's all they know. But my mom, oh, you can't tell her that. You know, she's like, nah, he heard that. He said that word. I'm like, Mom, you got to realize that's what they know. You know what I'm saying? But because I grew up in a hip-hop culture and I grew up in understanding, you ain't being negative towards me. That's just how you grew up.
Noble Drew Ali?
So my thinking goes back to thinking. So my views was just more like, but I had to get out of that. You know what I'm saying? Not change myself, but I had to get out of that thinking.
You can't know everything, right?
That's
you can't know you know nothing. You really know nothing. You know what I'm saying? And like, one thing you understand as you get older is all of those old sayings, the oldest sayings, the most cliche things are the most truthful things.
They've been passed down.
They've been passed down because they are that solid. They are that 100. You know what I mean? They've been proven so many times over that they've been used so many times over. Like, and I think that's one of the things people definitely take for granted is like, you really have to understand that you're constantly learning, constantly growing, and you're ignorant to many things. Ignorant comes from the root word ignore. So you're only ignorant to the things you ignore, but you ignore a lot. You use a computer and don't know how it works. You ignore the fact that it took, you know what I'm saying? Like the processes, you ignore all of that. You know what I'm saying? So like, we're ignorant to mad stuff, and it's okay.
And as soon as something coming into our realm that's different, it's like we quickly shun it. Not to say we got to quickly embrace it, but just look at where that person's coming from or where that angle is coming from. And I really think just like kind of going back to the the Nipsey conversation, I just think people are now looking at things from a different angle, not just because CNN said it, not just because they're listening to what the people said, people that knew him. They interviewed his friend, you know what I'm saying, his cowboy, you know what I mean? So people gonna listen to him, you know what I mean, because he knew him. And then you see, the different gangs from the Bloods, the Crips, the Pyrus, and beautiful. Everybody coming together. It's deeper than some street stuff. You know what I mean? This was somebody that this man touched from. Like I said, he was a Crip, but he touched Bloods, he touched Pyrus, he touched your grandma's friend, you know what I mean? Everybody. One of the things that got me with him, I didn't know he had signed a deal with Puma. Like, that thing was crazy.
That's like all with the Rock Nation.
Really?
Yeah, because anybody who gets with Rock Nation now, they plug them in, you know what I mean?
And to see him on the plane with his grandma, you know what I'm saying? His grandma with the whole Puma suit on, and you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody bringing their grandma on no plane, you got to deal with Puma. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that. But that shows, the realness and the authenticity that he has with connected with people. He ain't forget about his grandma. You know what I mean? And it's like, shit that shoot basketball. You know what I mean? Just real stuff. Just everyday stuff that we think we got to get a light, camera, green screen, all these effects. I'm like, nah, man, just bring the camera in and just see me interact with my babies, my children. You know what I'm saying? My niece, my nephew. And my homeboys, you know what I'm saying, that I probably don't interact with all the time, but I'm right here today. So, yeah, that's real.
Yeah. So, check it out. You here with the Randy Wilson podcast. If you just tuning in, we switched platforms up a little bit. We got some new followers, some new places. If everyone would, just make sure you give your handle. Go ahead, Noah.
All social media platforms is at Charged Up Noah O, ChargedUpNoAho. And NoahO.com, Noah-O.com.
Y'all need to go check out Noah. Go ahead, Z.
You can check me out, Z-Beta Poet, IG, that's Z-Beta Poet _ Community 5050. That's a 501c3 nonprofit. We just out here, grassroots, artistry, poetically speaking.
It's Tyrone Leake Jr. Once again. So that's Tyrone Leake Jr. You know how to spell Tyrone. Leake is Leake Jr. _ STR. That's Instagram, Twitter. Tyrone Leake Jr. STR. Just straight like that.
Radio Blitz is RADIOBLITZ. It's on pretty much everything. Twitter, Instagram.
Yo, if you don't know, we got some of Richmond's dopest artists in this room right now, and it's a special night. I got some questions for you all guys as we kind of wrap around to the fourth quarter of the conversation. We got 20, 25 more minutes here, but we want to. I got some of the followers had some questions for you guys, and so I figured let's engage them. And so, if you blow up tomorrow, do you stay in RVA?
Yeah.
Yeah. You ain't got to stay. You can stay, come back.
I'll have multiple places.
Yeah.
I have multiple houses, but my home would always be Richmond.
I always be a house.
Definitely.
Why would you want to? Why would I want to live somewhere else?
It's successful rock bands that have gone gold. People don't realize rock band Guar is world famous.
Yeah.
They're doing what rappers like Nipsey Hussle or people have done. They have their own facility here with a recording studio. They throw a yearly event at Hayes Lake that people come to from all over America, and they have their own bar in Jackson Ward. That to me is just nobody has done it in hip hop, where they've gotten a certain level of success and opened up a business and have their facility. But it's several rock groups that done it, so I would definitely stay there. It's cheap too, man. Right. It's we got to be part of what's going on in Richmond as far as all this property and the you know what I mean?
And I think that's been a common theme, especially in Richmond, you know what I'm saying, because of the lack of support or whatever the case may be. People be quick to leave. I'm leaving, and to own everybody's personal perspective, but I think even if you stay, you just have some type of vision of how you want to impact the community, give back, still create that culture, whatever, laying you in. But you can have multiple properties other places, you know what I mean, and just kind of come back. I know that's my plan, especially with investing in, a lot with Community 50-50. It would be kind of dumb for me to leave. You know what I'm saying? Not even dumb, but think about all the families and people, individuals that we've impacted and we continue to impact, whether it's through the feedings every third Sunday, after school program. why leave? You know what I'm saying? Just like establish that. And my goal is to put models in Newport News and then, Pittsburgh, just pretty much work those demographics that we all have in other states, you know what I mean? And just continue to bridge that gap. And I think just bring that culture back to Richmond. I don't even say bring it to, because Richmond had the culture. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It still has it. It was just dormant, you know what I mean? For so many reasons, you know what I mean?
But I think it's a testament to individuals like you that has really, first off, every person wouldn't answer it the way that you guys have, obviously, because everybody hasn't done it.
I want to live somewhere. I want to live basically in Richmond. I wouldn't.
We knew you was the millennial of the group, bro.
It's not even a thing of millennial. I feel like even if at any age, I don't know.
You'd come back.
But I know for me, this is outlandish, but I like tropical shit. That's just me. I want to and of course I want to impact where I'm from, because the thing is, when I started rapping, my main thing, it's funny, this is tangible. My homie asked me, he's like, why are you doing this? And I asked him, I was like, bro, I don't know. And I had to recheck myself. I asked him, he's like a deep brother when I went up to school with. And I was like, man, I don't even know anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I had to recheck myself, and I'm back on the level ground. But it's I know for myself, I want to be somewhere in the tropic. You know what I'm saying? I just know that's just me, straight up. Yeah. But I'm super strong about I want to blow up in Richmond first.
Yeah.
I don't want to blow up anywhere else. Yeah. And it's I've heard stories of people that have blown up outside of Richmond, left Richmond, and stuff like that. Yeah. But I still I told people people in conversation, man, fuck Richmond, I'm out. Told me they gone, they're gone. Yeah. And do your endeavors, but it's and I want them to blow too. But I was I'm stubborn. I'm no, I want to blow up here first. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Even though I want to be
it's our time though, man. It's we don't have time. We don't have time to look forward to the future on behalf of being a difference maker right now. It's our time. The future will be old, and it won't be our time anymore. So it's I think that's what's special right now about Richmond, is that Richmond or RVA, and that's a whole other debate, but it's there's something special right now.
Every time I'm moving through the city, I'm amazed by just everything, by the businesses, by the food, by the art,
the paint on the
riding around people who's not from here. I be like, bro, y'all don't understand. None of this was here. Yeah. I went to college and I came back and was like, where am I at? I was like, where the hyperlink at?
That shows there's and it's not by magic. It's because there's people thinking and the people that are thinking like us are staying here. They're not all leaving like a brain drain where the best and the brightest people are just leaving and going to New York or Atlanta. Because anything that you're trying to do, unless you're going to be, I know when it comes specifically to hip hop, especially nowadays, you're not just getting a deal. You got to have a certain level of support or a certain thing already solidified, unless you're just some insanely unique talent, or you're a producer, or you sing. Those type of people are getting put on. But just as a rapper who's just dope, bro, that is not happening. And I'm
unless they create you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're just already something so unique and so crazy.
It ain't even that you already so unique.
Oh yeah, you let them feel
that. Yeah. We gonna dye your dreads.
Nah, man.
We gonna, you know what I'm saying? We gonna
put this clothes.
Because wherever you go, I be trying to tell. I don't even try to tell cats no more. But it's you're really not gonna go to Atlanta. And infiltrate their scene when they could get somebody from Zone 6. You're not gonna go to LA and infiltrate LA and get on. It's not happening.
Let them do their thing though. I'd be I let them do
y'all don't even say that. All come back. This is you gotta have bruh, everything
they become groupies.
I've seen some people get a little bit closer to their thing, and I hope they keep but it's just it's a
it depends.
But then they end up just taking pictures, bro. They end up just taking pictures.
Man,
you going around taking pictures places.
I say this, bro.
The sodium in the microwave meals be killing you too. I heard they in there. Just eating to stay alive.
Yeah.
I know more producers who have left Richmond and they're in LA or based in Atlanta and they've had a certain level of success. But I know for me, everything, I've been fortunate, I've gotten on certain, big platform. But it was me, I didn't go to them places. seen what I was doing here.
Yeah, I mean, I met him here. I checked out the Sway in the Morning thing. I mean,
like I met
y'all connected here,
Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all listening and following right now, listen to this. All right, I mean, you just checked in on Instagram, Facebook, whatever the case is. This brother just met Sway in the Morning in Richmond. Tell him the story.
Like, yo, Sway came to Richmond and it all goes back to like you just being who you are. Like, so Cheats. Shout out to the Cheats movement. Cheats knows I'm originally from the Bay. Like, I grew up listening to Sway as a kid in San Francisco. Like, he was a local DJ. He was Lonnie B. He was whoever. And I grew up hearing him. You feel me? So when I met him, afterwards they had a meet and greet, like, and he was just doing interviews. Like, Cheats was like, yo, you could just chill and hang out. Like, he knows I'm an artist. I'm not on the groupie stuff. So I'm chilling. And then I started talking to his producer. I was just, like, being a human. I'm like, yo, you know, they was tired. They hadn't ate. And my other dude, we had charge of studios at the time, but he was also one of the owners of Plush. I was like, yo, y'all hungry? Like, you know what I mean? I'll take y'all to get some food. And they was like, yo, for real? And then so she just, you know, she introduced me to Sway. I told him I was from the city, from San Francisco. He was like, you ain't from there. I told him I used to listen to him. So he's like, yo, hold that thought. Let's chop it up. From there, you know, we took him, we ate. We just humans, you know, we just ate, man. We ate and kicked it for hours. And then he kind of seen, like, eventually he wanted to go into the club, like, because we was on, like, a patio where nobody even knew he was there. Eventually, he wanted to go into the club, like, yo, let me just mess people's heads up and just do a walkthrough. So it's like, you know, that's the stuff you got to pay for it.
Right.
And he was, you know, feeling nice. We go in there, and then, like, people just going crazy, like, because they see me and him. They like, yo, what's going on? And I'm just chilling, but people, like, several people was like, yeah, let me take a picture with you. Noah get in the picture too. So afterwards, he was like, yo, why you ain't tell me you do music? And I'm like, you know, I'm watching you all night, people forcing stuff into your hand. He's like, nah, I respect that. He's like, I could tell you as an artist just by how you move, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, yo, you want to come up? I'm like, yeah, of course. But, you know, it just goes back to, like he seen the love that I had. He seen the you know, the way people were interacting with me. I didn't have to say it.
It was authentic,
you know, and it's like, from there, I was on Hot 97 too, like a month after that. But DJ Enough told me, like, somebody plugged me in with them, and he told me, like, they checked with Lonnie. Like, yo, is this dude, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, when people be like, yo, you gotta leave Richmond, or this stuff don't matter around here, dude.
But so question, hold up. But are people checking with Lonnie on Richmond artists?
I don't know, but like,
I mean, I'm curious as an artist. Is that something that happens?
I'm just saying, I don't know.
I mean, come to him for, like, the people who are.
No. I can say, like, yo, he's not for my like the things I've been able to do. I'm doing it on my own.
Right.
Let me work at it like that. You feel me? But we know I've known him since I've been a kid.
Yeah, right.
I'm in my lane though.
I was telling somebody just last night. I was like, yo, Lonnie has a CD of mine. Me, Mike, and my man Demise was in a group when we were in high school. I was like 17 years old. I really just started rapping. Like, Lonnie has that CD. I don't have it. Mike don't have it. You know what I mean? Like, he's a collector. Like, he's a person that's been in the scene, and he's a person that's created opportunities for artists for a very long time. Like, so even way back when, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
but you go back, like, that's
when you look at it from me. I've never been the type of person that, like, oh, like, yo, you gotta listen to my song, or you gotta do this or whatever. Lonnie blessed me with a verse on Whole Foods. You brought up Whole Foods before, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things that when you're just focusing on your own path, it's just one of those things where you just kind of don't really care anymore whether or not somebody else is doing anything for you or doing anything for anybody else. It's one of those things, like, if you happen to do something, great. That situation for Noah. Like, he's not going to tell, he probably didn't tell enough, like, yo, go holler at Lonnie B.
Nah, he did that
on his own. And then that fell through. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, boom, they say when you play with skill, good luck will happen. It's like one of those types of things. Like, it's, you know?
Nah, that's where, like, let me just touch on that. Like, you said, they've seen you since you've been a kid. Like, I've known Skills and Lonnie since I've been in high school. Like, they know me, but I never looked at it like. And I've told them this, not in a disrespectful way. Like, I would be a fool to like blame my success or failure on you not putting me on. He's one man, but from time to time, you know, those dudes are extremely plugged in. They, especially somebody like Skills, he is known in the hip hop industry. Right. You feel me? So when it makes sense, if somebody bring up my name and they was to ask him, I think he did. You know what I mean? And that's why. Yeah. You know, and I'm just saying, but I'm not calling him every day because he got to live his life, and I think that's where, like, you know, in a city like this or somewhere where not so many people have had those major opportunities, people, I think a lot of times, like, put too much, like, pressure on that. It's like, if you just create your lane, what, like, radio doing, what you've been doing, like, nobody can take that away from you. Right. You know, they might not help you. But at
they
the
can't
end
take
of the
it
day,
away.
nobody
And
can
then at
take
the
it
end
away.
of the day, it'll be that much better because even with me foraying into the battle rap world, like, I know a lot of them dudes that's high up in the URL ranks, and we have good relationships, but they don't speak my name in a way that's gonna help me advance through the process. You understand what I'm saying? And with somebody like Skills, for instance, like, we posted. You know, he did the Walmart, the freestyle through the grocery store. We posted that on the RVA Rap Elite page, right? Somebody commented in there, and it's like, yo, like, why y'all showing? They did that on your page too. So like, why you posting him? He don't show no love, and boom, boom. He was on Breakfast Club, and he didn't say whatever they wanted him to say, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's more like, dog, like, you don't understand. First of all, you never been in that situation before where somebody say something and you on the spot have to blurt out like the thought, like, you know, at least you know 5 artists, right? You might know 5 artists. Like, if I'm Skills, I might know Noah, Radio, Nick, Mike, and Zebek. You know what I'm saying? Now, who I'm supposed to say?
Nah, somebody's always gonna be mad.
I mean, like, somebody's always gonna be mad. So it's like, not to mention, you up there, this your first time being up there yourself. Yeah. Right. So it's like, I think we just put too much pressure on people. It's like, we can say what we would do, and that's fine. I can say I may make different decisions than the next man, but I'm doing that every day anyway. Yeah. So if I don't,
that's what matters.
If I don't expect that from the guy below me, I can't expect it from the guy above me either, because I know the guy below me probably not thinking about doing nothing for me.
That's real, because truthfully, there's a lot of people who are in the limelight. The people have the expectation on them to do different things, but when they wasn't in the limelight, they wasn't doing anything.
And this is the thing. I see, and Noah knows this too, and I think me and Noah have a different perspective on this, but and I'm sure ZB too, because we are in our positions. Those types of statements and those types of questions and those types of, like, and I've seen it with Noah. You know what I'm saying? Like, people come at us like, what are you doing for the next? I've had somebody say in the same conversation, how are you preparing to pass the torch to the next person coming up behind you? And then in the same conversation say, why would you be put on a pedestal because you're just trying to get there just like me? You're no different than I. Right.
Exactly.
So either I do or I don't have a torch to pass.
Yeah.
You gotta pick one. And the fact is, no, I don't have one. And you gotta get over that.
Yeah.
Like, and then the crazy thing is, you're saying that, and I actually provide a platform for other artists to thrive on. So
but I think that in itself is the torch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the torch. Because, like, for me and myself, y'all are people who I look to and say, listen, these are people in your city that's doing. I pull y'all up on the internet and say, he's creating this. This is what he's doing. So people that's 16, 17 can say, you can do the same thing. You don't have to just be the rapper. You can create the platform.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's
the gem.
Like this video right here, right? Like, for folks who listen to this who don't know, like, for a few years, probably like the 4-year run, like, I was throwing at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, like, events in Richmond, like, because I was an artist and I felt like I wasn't getting shows. Right. I wasn't getting put on. So then it dawned on me, like, I'm gonna have to create my own platform for myself and others. So I'm not frustrated. Like I just want to create what I wish I could see, what I wish I could attend, perform at. You know what I mean? And I loved it, and it lasted for a while. But then it did come to a point, like I was getting them types of comments, and I'm like, you know what? I can't do this no more because I know I'm not doing it for selfish reasons. And I tell radio this all the time. Like,
when we did the first one, like, I can use
you know what I mean? I commend you. I don't envy you at all. That's why I told you. You know what I mean? Because I know you're doing this from a place of love, from the battles to the shows. Like, you might have a good show and hella people show up. You might do one and you lose money. But you keep going, and it's needed. Like, whether I'm doing it, whether radio's doing it, like you said, that is the torch. It's going to be somebody who's inspired by what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
And you have to focus on those people because there's so many people that are grateful. You know what I'm saying, for different things or whatever. And you have a few people that have something negative to say, and you just have to focus on the people that have good things to say. You know what I'm saying, and with that being said, you have to keep in mind what you feel and what you think and what you're saying about other people. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when you ask that question, I'm like, I lean back off gate because it's more like the way the question is posed, there's not a really, it can come off unflattering if I say, well, I don't know, or I don't know, or nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether or not they're saying, or whether or not people are asking them. I don't know if they are. Honestly, all I can say is they should ask them because they are in the positions that they're in, and I would love for them to say, you know what I'm saying, have knowledgeable things to say about the artists that are doing things, but at the same time, these men have lives, and these men have goals that they're trying to get to. And they are doing what they can do, whether it be just inspiring us. Because I'm super inspired by Skills. I'm super inspired by Lonnie. You understand what I'm saying? And sometimes that's the gift. Even if they don't create the platform. Pac said, yo, I might not be the one to change the world, but I'm going to spark the mind that does. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are efforts. You know what I'm saying? When people keep making examples for you to follow, they're giving you something. Jay-Z has given me a lot in my life. By setting examples for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes people's presence is a gift. And you have to, respect that.
It's a lot of bars being dropped tonight on this podcast. We're going to have to wrap it up, unfortunately, just because of tape, and we want to make sure we get all this hardcore recorded. Hey, there's a lot of questions I haven't been able to get off. Let me try to get off. Look, we got like 3-4 minutes, and we got to close here. But let me try to get some questions off real fast. Radio, in the battle culture, like, how often do you walk away from a situation just being like, dang, it's like, do you ever, like, I know it's a sport, but do you ever take it personally?
Because I only had one grudge match, and that was like red-handed. And we just didn't rock with each other, and that was the only reason we battled, because we didn't like each other. That was the only time. But other than that, I don't take none of that. I don't take any of it.
Let me tell you what, man.
It's a sport.
Very impressed, man, with the Southpaw Coalition.
May 17th here in Richmond. Pull up.
Definitely. You said what, John?
URL Smack. Yeah, May 17th.
You in that, John?
Yeah.
What's going to be at?
What's still the workshop?
The workshop?
Workshop. Yeah, workshop. So it's day one. So there's a 3-day event. I'm on day one. It's the cheapest ticket. So you can get the 1-day joint. It's $30, I think. But it's going to be some great battles. But yeah, I'll be a part of that.
You definitely doing your thing, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You definitely doing your thing. Not only are you doing it, but you also, taking leadership. So it's Richmond's own. I like the hat too, man. You got any merch for us? You want to push some merch? We need some merch, man.
Yeah, the Richmond Zone merch is out there. But I'm going to double down on that in the next couple months.
I want a late bloomers shirt.
Oh, you gotta go to the Late Bloomer website.
I went, man. I checked it out.
Oh, it sold out?
Yeah, y'all sold out. Y'all must be selling a lot of merch right now,
Nick,
man.
That's Nick, man. His merch game is crazy.
Yeah.
Nick can sell pictures of himself. Literally. He does.
Graduation. I seen that. That was dope.
That's right.
Yo, so Z-Bay, what's the current move? What you want to let everyone know before we close out? Get your mic.
May 17th. Oh.
Mic.
Here we go.
May 17th.
I'm going to hold it like this. May 17th, May 18th, May 19th, The Awakening Project It's a festival, a 3-day festival. We started at 6 Points Innovation Center with a poetry and pop-up event. It's all fundraising. Everything is paid. What makes you happy at the door. Friday we're 6 Points. Saturday we at the Well. And Sunday we're back at 6 Points with the yoga, mindfulness, and hip-hop dance. So it's a 3-day event. The Awakening Man is pretty much like an acronym for music, mental health, arts, awareness, needs, and networking. So we just awakening the human. So yeah, that's what we're doing. And check us out, on Facebook. Anybody want to sponsor, want to vend, email the awakening WM@gmail.com.
All right. Z-Bay all over the place. Z-Bay, AZ Promos, Community 5050. Mr. Tyrone Leake Jr., sir, please talk to us about what you got going on. Hey, the sound right now sounds horrible. You all moving the mic so much.
Damn. Yeah, man. My bad. I'm gonna keep moving by accident too. It's all good. I'm just making music, yo. Making music, and I got a couple videos working on. It's like I'm trying to just get everything in a package deal. You know what I'm saying? So when I want to release it, I can release it and not have to worry about being rushed.
Do we have some comedy to look forward to?
I don't know. That was a fun little time, and I actually, it's something like I said, it's a relief that when I have blocks in music, I can like go out and just make people laugh. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I can see you as an actor, man. You need to go and keep running. Keep going.
We'll see where it goes. But that's why I cut back a little bit to get back into music, because it's like when you're looking, at what you want to do, it's like, what do you want to do more?
Honestly, that was one of the questions I really wanted to get into, y'all. We're gonna have to have a part 2 because I'm really interested in how you come into your creative spaces. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in if there's a process, what your different process is. As I approach this and as I spend time with this, like I think about my processes and what inspires me, and a lot of it, quite honestly, is your music. I listen to your music when I'm pulling weeds in my grass. I listen to your music when I'm in the gym. You know what I'm saying? So in different areas, it kind of sets the stage for, what do I want to record? Who do I want to spend time with? What's the motivation for the conversation? So I really, when I saw you doing the comedy, I was like, I could really see you doing this thing. So keep going, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, my homie that I made music with, Modinero, he dropped making music, went straight into comedy. Yeah. And he's like, bruh, you be happy with
Well, like I said, look.
I'd be like, look.
Micah talked about it on the first podcast. He's like, look, man, there's a lot of money in corporate comedy. You'd be surprised. Like, you go over there and talk to Walmart, and you find out that they're going to have a big meeting. Yeah. And, they may bring you in as a comedian to convey the message that the corporate people have been trying to, but you humanize it with some more humor. And you might get $10,000 for that. 30 minutes.
It's a demand in Richmond. It's a huge comedy demand. For a minute, I just stopped doing music, and I was just writing jokes. It's fun. Yeah. Every day of the week. Sometimes 2 days in one night. Yeah. I was on Thursday. I went to a jump, do one set, cool. Like, all right, so I'm about to peace out. Nah, bro, come on, we got another one. I'm like, what you mean another one? Let's go, fuck it. Like, let's go, because you know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, let's roll. Like, we're going to roll up in there, and you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I told my sister, I was like, it was kind of like a chilling circuit. Yeah. Just white folks. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's a group of us here. We do our jump, go here, do our jump, go here, do our jump, and it's embracive. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you may have, and rap or music in general, people are like, it's competition. Yeah. It's competition. Yeah.
Standoff.
When it's funny, it's like, bro, come here. Yeah. I'm about to roast you. It's just all love.
If humor can't bring us together, man, nothing can.
Exactly.
When we start getting mad at comedians, we're not respecting the purpose and reason why they're here to, help us get through hard times and situations.
So, tragedy breeds comedy. That's what it came from.
Yeah, man. Much respect to the comedians. Much respect.
I had a friend. He was real funny, and I used to tell him, like, to me, he would be like, man, how do you rap? I'm like, man, that seems 10 times harder because you're not hiding behind music. You're not hiding it behind rhymes and wordplay. It's just you and the mic. Say something to make me laugh. Like, that to me is like mind-boggling that somebody has the ability to do that. Like, just... Right.
Or the gall.
Like,
the confidence, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it takes confidence.
Yeah, I mean, battle rap is kind of in that space.
Yeah, just your speech skills. That's silence.
I tell you what, man, I ain't gonna lie. I would struggle. I mean, I don't know if I could sit up there. I don't know how I would handle it. I mean, I feel like it takes a lot of strength,
It's not even about what people say to you like that. I mean, that's like if you were boxing and you were mad because somebody punched you.
I don't think I'd be good at that either, though. I really don't, man. I mean, I feel like if I'm a fight, I'm not. It's not a sport. I'm trying to kill you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think I can appreciate getting hit in the face. My wife does mixed martial arts, so like she's really like she think, oh, I gotta go to the gym. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like same thing with battle rapping. Like if I feel like your bar is just disrespectful, that's part of it. It's part of it.
That's when you lose.
I know. I'm just saying it would be extremely hard because I like, dang. I mean, I watch, man. Sometimes like it gets close. It gets serious. It's like, whoa!
It blew my mind. What? I remember like first going to them joints with him and Bravo, and like I helped Bravo put together one.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it, and then it helped me to understand, like, oh, this is like a sport, because these guys are like talking crazy about each other, girls, their lives, like, where you live, where you don't have no money, and then they go outside and smoke together. I was like, what's going on? And then they had to explain it, like, yo, just like in boxing, they hug afterwards. Wow. I was like, so they respect the skill of it. I was like, man, that's wild to me. This is real disrespectful. You know what I'm saying?
It's a combination of boxing, spoken word, rap, stand-up comedy, theater,
you gotta be able to
crowd control. I think it's all of those things like literally wrapped up in one sport. You know,
I got a new appreciation for it.
It's phenomenal, honestly. Like it really is. Like speaking of, you know what I mean. Shout out to tomorrow's the Resolution pay-per-view. Cassidy and Goods, a bunch of great battles on there. It's sold out, so watch battlelive.com. Shout out to Smack. You know.
Yeah, but yo, much respect to what you're doing here with the whole, the battle rap culture. I remember that first. I don't know if it was the first one, but I remember the battle between you and Bravo as a beginning to what I started like tuning in. And
that started us battling. Started us. Creating a league, Southpaw Battle Coalition. Shout out to that. Henny Lowe and Jay Moore just dropped. That was a crazy battle, so check that out. But I mean, I tell people all the time, like me and Bravo's battle was like it was like 300 people, and there was no other battles, no anything else that was promoted. We had other battles, but we didn't promote them on the flyer or anything. It was just me and Bravo, And when I think back on it, like after running, we haven't done those numbers at all. Like since then, we haven't done. I don't think we've outdone the numbers that we did at Legends Never Die 1, and that didn't have any big names on it. It was just me and Bravo. It was just organic. I mean, we trolled each other for months.
You did a good job of it, man.
6 months.
You did a really good job of it.
The newness of it, you know.
That's what I feel like.
You feel the void. You know what I mean?
We were just both known for doing music in the city on different sides, and it was a moment. You know what I mean?
Yo, Noah, give me information.
Yo, again, all social media platforms is charged up Noah O, or you could log on noah-o.com or analogsuspects.com. Got a Analog Suspects transmission went out now. Just wrapped up. Dirty Rice. Dude is coming out with Fan Brand. That's going to be distributed with Fantastic Damage and through Fat Beats. So, like, the vinyl will be everywhere worldwide, where the records are sold. Got a Chilipino album I'm working on. I'm working on some show dates. And I could say it like I'm going to be joining, I'm going to be getting on some shows up and down the East Coast with, like, Sue Surf, Vado, and Benny from Griselda.
All right.
Watch yourself.
All right.
Lock that joint. I've been wanting to tell you because I've been wanting to tell you. We're just trying to, like, I think the first one is like out near Charlottesville or somewhere May 17th, but they was trying to actually, May 18th, but they was trying to get a Richmond date but couldn't get it in. So they're trying to do like 757. I'm going to,
we need to talk about that.
Yo, for real.
Y'all need to recognize there's a lot of things right now going on in the hip hop community in Richmond. Again, shout out to my homeboy Kaiser Soze. Go check him out on Instagram. He's handling the production of our video. Check him out on Instagram with Too Tall Visuals. This is Randy Wilson Podcast. Really happy and appreciative of all of our guests coming tonight. We got prizes. They got a lot of merch. They got a lot of merch, okay? So make sure you check out all their platforms. And again, thank you for tuning in to the Randy Wilson Podcast. This is episode 5. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Peace.
Peace.